So, by now, a lot of us have come to the conclusion that Dusk Till Dawn was initially a draftable set and changed to supplemental. But, what if I were to tell you it still is draftable? I mean, the big thing about Flesh and Blood, right, when it comes to the normal standard sets, is these other ways to play. Okay, so you can open for the fun of it, you can open to chase cards, or you can run a sealed deck play, or a draft pod, right? So 24 packs support an 8-man draft pod or 4 sealed decks, right? Do the math. So in a draft, it's 3 booster packs, same as MTG. In sealed, you get 6 packs and you build a deck. So the big 3 things that dictate this type of play and the ability to use a set for this play are what? Tokens, right? Card number and size, okay? So we have 10 pack booster packs, 15 card booster packs, and then, of course, the core segment of cards within a set. So, for instance, Monarch is Light and Shadow. Supplemental sets are usually spread out across all the available heroes. But Dusk Till Dawn isn't. Right? Dusk Till Dawn, its core cards are Light and Shadow. Okay? As for the tokens, I would argue that in a box of Monarch, right, if you get 6 packs, if you get 3 packs, you're not going to find all the tokens you want to play. Right? You are dependent on your playgroup, on the LGS having those spare token cards for you to be able to run these sealed formats. Okay, so in those 2 regards, right, Dusk Till Dawn, check, right, we can pull enough cards for our core demographic heroes, right, the 4 in this Vizette, Prism, Levia, and Bolton, whereas in Monarch, obviously, Vizette is Chain, and then guess what, the other 3 are still the same. Okay. So again, tokens check, heroes check, so all that's left is the card number. So again, for draft, we get 3 packs, or 45 cards. So what if we just use 5 packs of Dusk Till Dawn? And then in sealed, we get 6 packs, or 90 cards. So why don't we just use 9 packs of Dusk Till Dawn? That's what we're going to experiment with today. Right, I want to see if it is somewhat draftable. So either in a complete just Dusk Till Dawn set, and that was a shocking paper cut. Right, isn't it weird? Paper cuts are so small, yet they hurt the most. But yeah, so can we draft Dusk Till Dawn? Because I would heavily argue yes. But at the same time, I would think that oh, that is bleeding. 1 sec. Right, cut aside. Right, I wouldn't like to get some blood on my precious cards. Here's what we've come up with. Okay, so we have sealed. Right, so for Monarch, again, you're meant to use 6 packs, and for the equivalents, we've got 9 from Dusk Till Dawn. Then we have draft, 3 packs from Monarch to 5 of Dusk Till Dawn. Okay, so obviously the price point is the big hang-up here, because if you want to draft Dusk Till Dawn, you're going to have to either play with less players or spend more to get the equivalent amount of packs to actually meet these ratios. But then over here, we also have a mixed, which is what I really want to sort of look at and get across, because I think this would have been the better use of Dusk Till Dawn, right? To tie it together with Monarch, to emphasize 2 players, to mix and match the sets, and to have a, somewhat extended play when it comes to draft or playing sealed. Okay, so we have a sealed deck equivalent, right? So I've taken out 2 packs of Monarch for 3 Dusk Till Dawn, so it's still the equivalent amount of cards. And then draft, right, we're taking out 1 to 2, so you get 5 extra cards, but it's not going to be too much of a big deal. Okay, so why don't we crack some packs and see exactly what we can find. So we'll start with the sealed, because obviously I'm 1 man, so draft is a little bit different. But we'll crack the Monarch first, I think, right? And see what type of deck we can try to build from these packs. So obviously, again, the token is the big hang-up, because the idea is, there's a communal pool of tokens, so whatever deck you end up trying to draft or make, you can then use that to build, and then you also have the equipment slot. But I would also argue that equipment is fairly common in Dusk Till Dawn, right? Well, I mean, we'll see once we start opening if we do get any equipment. But at the same time, I wouldn't argue that the equipment in Dusk Till Dawn is going to play that big of an impact, right? Over just, say, using the tokens from Monarch or even the common equipment from Monarch, which we'll have a huge amount of bulk with. So I should probably sort the cards by class, right? So we can actually then decide on what class we want to play. For all intents and purposes, I'll put Warrior with Warrior and Illusionist with Illusionist, since there is only the 1 hero. So Shadow, I'm not going to have enough room. Let me reorganize some stuff. Right, hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, so we've got Light Warriors, Shadow Warriors. When I say Warriors, I mean Heroes. And then Generics. Okay, so Shadow can just go there. Generic, Warrior. Hooves would go in the Shadow Brute, right? If we're trying to make that solid deck, and then Light Illusionist. So, fairly split, which is to be intended. That's why you're drafting so many so that you can find, do you play with 60 or 40 cards? Let's see, I should have actually looked up the format. I'll do it in between, like after we go through the cards. Because, this is still pack opening. I should probably explain. Yes, I have a lot of Dusk Till Dawn, and I plan to open a lot of Dusk Till Dawn, but I do want to obviously do some experiments with it and try to see what exactly is going on with Flesh and Blood. By and large, I want to compare it to some other games, so do some sort of mixed box openings. What are they? Booster box battles are what they're generally referred to, right? And yeah, obviously today we're testing Monarch and then a Prism. So, curious, token-wise, right, that is all 6 packs that we'd use to make a sealed deck. We got a Prism, a Levia, a Chain, but no Bolted, okay? So, from tokens, Light Warriors out. In terms of weapons, we got Chain and Brutes and Illusionist. So I guess that's nice. We didn't get any Bolton, any Warrior stuff. But at the same time, right, if I wanted to play Levia, because the weapon is on Levia, so you need tokens from outside in order to actually make a deck. We'll scrap these cards. I wasn't actually looking at M's. I'll probably go through them later. I mean, this is the unlimited set, so I don't put a whole lot of stock in it. So yeah, we're gonna with Shadow Brute, I think. Right? We could probably check off the cards with Runeblade 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm pretty sure it's a 60 card deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 37. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Minus the equipment though, right? So 37. So we're above the 60. We're 63. Take out equipment and we should basically have the correct deck. Let me look up the correct rules to see if it is a 60 or a 40 card deck. Never mind, it's even easier. All you need is a 30 card deck, right? So they're all viable. We can easily get that amount of cards. So the question is, right, stapling these together as some weird brute deck, can we do the same with Dusk Till Dawn? And at the very least, right, if we're just using Dusk Till Dawn, is this right? Set 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 8. I don't count right. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right, we have plenty. Okay, so 90 cards. Again, see if we can meet that bare requirement of 30 cards for a sealed deck. I think it's definitely going to be doable, because again, the other class cards, right, they hit the Majestic slot. So chances are we definitely will get everything we need. So again, we'll go light, move them out of the way so we can go a bit up. The decks over there, packs over there. Okay, Runeblade, Brutes, over to the side. Celestial Reprimand, again. Did not realize that was a reprint. Shadow, and generics. No, the only generic armor is the rare slot too, so chances are we probably won't get that either. Okay, Brutes. These should be slightly quicker to go through because they're only 10 card packs. Still interested to see if we find anything. To the side. Look at that! Runechant token. Cool, so we could play Runeblade, right? Oh, I hate the tokens in this. Shadow, light. I'd also say that there is a high amount of just light cards and shadow cards too, to really help this set's draftability. Overall, I definitely think a 30 card deck will be easily doable with Dusk Till Dawn. Had it been a 60 card deck, no, 40 card deck would be a maybe, but if we're just doing, 30 cards at minimum, yeah, this shouldn't be hard at all to draft. Shadow, Light, Illusionist, Runeblade, Shadow, Figment, finally, so we could play Prism. If we could find a Prism, granted they're, Majestic, and short printed. That's just Light, Levia, so we can play Brutes now, that's nice. That's another thing we want to see is how many of the heroes we'd actually get, right, the common heroes or the young heroes, which again, support draftability. and, you know, seem as inclusions for drafting, which is the whole thing why a lot of us are sort of cluing in that this was set out to be a draftable set, and then something happened, something caused delays, or they decided to go in a different direction, and, you know, that meant they didn't have enough time to actually flesh it out as much as possible. Which is weird too, because, again, the number size, the set size, supplemental sets aren't heavily reduced in comparison to normal sets. The big thing is just the ratio of cards, right? The ratio of Majestics, Rares, everything is different. That's the only big difference between the two sets. So in terms of actual card pool size, they developed enough cards. And again, if we take out the reprints, everything like that, or even just keep it in the reprints as this, you know, sort of, what's the word? Like, we'll give it to them. There's a Bolton, okay, so we can play Chain, we can play Bolton. Anyway, if we allow them to just go with reprints, right, they could have pulled more reprints from Monarch to make it a similar draft environment to Monarch, but with the difference of, obviously, the new heroes. And again, supplemental sets can have a token slot, right? There's no problem not having a token slot. Widespread Destruction, that's good, right? I think we'd go for a Shadow Runeblade at this point against the Shadow Brute deck of Monarch. Right, to have the cards accommodate, have more incentive for people to pick up, you know, one box here or there to actually play with or get, you know, all the new tokens, everything they want for the new heroes and the new decks. A token slot in Dusk Till Dawn, in Everfest, in Crew would have been fun. Would have been completely doable. This is technically our first, like, generic card. Okay, more Runeblade, more Celestial Reprimands. Oh, definitely going Brute, right? Look at that. Wow, that is a decent find. Cold Foil Spoiled Skull Extended Art too. That almost glossed over my head. We should probably sleeve that, shouldn't we? Where did I put my sleeves? They were around here somewhere. Right, I have more in my desk. Let's sleeve up the Spoiled Skull. If it was Rainbow Foil, I probably wouldn't care. It's Cold Foil Extended, definitely worth. And 2 packs to go. Right, so I was leaning on Shadow Runeblade, but I guess we're doing Shadow Brute against Shadow Brute. More tokens, I saw the embodiment. Right, garbage, essentially. Celestial Reprimand, there's Illusionist, that's normal Shadow, there, and there. Okay, last pack for this quote-unquote sealed draft. Shadow Equipment, isn't that nice too? Alright, you'd find a little bit of equipment, and again, the generic equipment, or common equipment, I should really stop mincing my words. I was going to say it again, the common, shadow, and light equipment are draft cards, right? Or, you know, blitz cards at best. So, yeah, if you want to experience Dusk Till Dawn, right from this little test, we haven't even gone into the other stuff, it is draftable. It is doable, and you can have a varied play. Luminaris, that is decent. Not that we're going Illusionist either. Right, so we'll scrap those, scrap those, scrap those. I will have to sift through, get my Majestics out later, but it's fine. Oh, they are sticking to the mat. Okay, so we'll get rid of the Runeblade. Right, we'll definitely go with the Cold Foil. How many cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 Shadow Brute cards. So we need at least 13 Shadow cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So close, right? So close. Let's see, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so that works. There's exactly enough cards for the requirement, right, of sealed play. But I mean, the simplest thing to do, tack on another pack. All we need is like 2 Brute cards, and again, sealed works. But I do want to highlight, I don't expect Dusk Till Dawn to work perfectly by itself, but in conjunction with Monarch, I think you could have quite a fun time drafting it. Right, 1 card. Ooh, that is not Brute, but still works out. 1 Brute card, 2 Brute cards. There you go. We've got our 30 again, and we've got another Shadow. Okay, so 10 packs. You can make sealed deck. most likely. You can fill it in with generics, or, you know, you could just say you don't need 30 cards. You could have slightly less, okay? Or, I guess the best thing to do would do 12 card packs, 12 packs per sealed, right? So every box, you and your friend can make a sealed deck. I mean, technically, you could split it between 8 people still, right? Well, actually, no, not the Shadow. You could split it between 2 people per 12 packs. Okay, one is going for Shadow, one is going for Light, and you both get sealed deck. Then the other 2. So you could play sealed format with Dusk Till Dawn with 12 packs between 4 players, and still have a fun time. Still enjoy the set. Still get more out of it than just searching for cards. I think that is definitely worth considering. Now, what about the draft experience? Okay, so we have our, just set them aside. We'll probably compare them to. So we have our Brutes set of cards for Dusk Till Dawn and for Monarch. Everything else, just tuck aside, and we'll look into drafting. Okay, so the whole idea, oh, that is the wrong pile. It is this pile. Okay, so 3 packs of Monarch to draft. You'll take turns sifting through, taking cards. You end up with, what, 45 cards? Right, so again, I would assume it's a 30 card deck minimum. Yeah, so it's 30 cards as well. And funny enough, right, on the page, it has each player draft cards from 3 boosters, then it has the tilde sign, right, so the approximate, 45 cards depending on the set. I mean, there's no way, well, actually, with drafting, you're more likely to get 30 cards. I would say to even it out, to get your 30 cards, you probably have to draft at least 4 packs, which still works, because it means instead of being a 8-player pod, Dusk Till Dawn is now a 6-player pod, right? So we'll try that. We'll see. Obviously, it would be like I was drafting a full box, okay? So we'll just open them, quote-unquote, for the sake of opening them, as we sort of explain the mechanics, okay? Because I can't, well, I mean, I can't open enough. Just, this video would really drag on. Okay, so the whole idea is we sift through and we all pick cards. So, you know, if you're leaning towards someone, you're pulling out those cards. Granted, if people are then competing for the same cards, you run into the issue. But yeah, look at this. Look at this pack. Not a single card that isn't playable in one of the 4 heroes. Right? There are no random cards. Random other hero cards. Right? All the other class cards, and they are very few in number, fit the Majestic slot. So the chances of you finding one is very minimal. Right? Like, they would not impact draft. Okay? We open another pack. I can guarantee you all the cards are most likely useful. Even in those cards, right? You have 3 Illusionists, so they're still playable. You have 3 Warrior as well, right? You have the Axe, Shield, and... No, you have more than that. You have like 4 or 5. But again, Warrior, so they're all playable in Bolton, except for the specialization. And then you have, what, Guardian, Briar, so those are 2 cards that are duds from away, plus then the tokens. Altogether, you know, look at that. Again, doesn't impede play. Outside of the tokens, so it's -1 card. I mean, you could fill it in, again, with tokens from, say, Monarch. You're still going to find the cards you want. In 3 packs, we are getting a total of 30 cards, which is right on, you know, hitting the nail on the head in terms of how many cards we're meant to have for play. But again, back set of cards, nothing that impedes the draftability, right? All these cards are draftable. You just have to really buckle down and sift for the right cards, hence why we're saying, you know, play with 4 packs. You have a 10-card deficit, if you will, right? 25% of the cards you draft or you pull, you know, they will allow you to change gear. I mean, essentially what you'd want to do if you were drafting, you'd always start with generics. In this case, you'd always start with the light and shadow cards. You'd pick light or shadow as your main theme, and then as you're seeing some of the warrior and illusionist cards or the brute and runeblade cards come through, then you're going to actually go into one of those heroes. So with a 10-card deficit, right, highly draftable. This set can be drafted. This set should have been drafted at its events, and it should have been advertised as that. Right? 10 cards is not non-draftable. Their format page has an approximate of 45 cards. Right? So there is some thought there that you can use these other sets. 3 back cards. Right? Not a single Majestic that we can't use for this as drafting. Okay? So between 4 packs each. Right? So we cut down from 8 people to 6 people. It's a little sad, right? 2 friends got to go, but still draftable. You can still play through, you can still pull cards, you can still have a fun time, and more importantly than anything, you can enjoy the commons of this set. You can enjoy the really bad equipment, right, that otherwise serves no purpose. Dusk Till Dawn is draftable. 4 packs for drafting, 12 packs for sealed, and play with 4 people. That is my go-to, right? Try it, please. Tell me what you think. Try to rope some friends into it. Get some more enjoyment out of Dusk Till Dawn than what is advertised, right? That is the only way this set is really going to thrive, because the hype is settling down. The serialized art cards are not as great as everyone anticipated, sad to say, and altogether, you know, the long run of Dusk Till Dawn is gloomy. Compared to drafting Monarch, right? It's still the same mentality. The only difference is you now have the generic Spool Pro. So again, you're looking, you're not going to grab a brute card, right? Yeah, if you get a majestic specific card, you might grab that, but you're not going to grab the equipment first. You're not going to go for the specific hero cards. You're going to again go for either generic, light, or shadow as you draft, as you circle the cards around, and altogether you will end up with a deck that probably feels less intuitive than Dusk Till Dawn, because you have the generics roping it down, right? You don't have the dichotomy of play of the majority of light and shadow cards interacting with one another, because you have these generic cards that expand normal play, right, rather than the cards that actually feed off of one another. No cracked bubbles, right, so no dead cards either. I think altogether Dusk Till Dawn could be a more enjoyable time than Monarch, just because, again, that core theme is really emphasized. The light and shadow themes are really emphasized in it. Okay, yes, the equipment side of things is probably going to be a bit lackluster, but, you know, that's not a big part of casual play, right? All these equipments, all the commons, rares, the reason they don't have value is because their effects aren't substantial to play. Stubby Hammers is obviously a little bit different, right? But altogether, we did get a Majestic Tome Torment. So, it doesn't really matter, right? You're going to find more light and shadow Majestics in Dusk Till Dawn. And altogether, I honestly think that the cards synergize between Light and Shadow a lot better in Dusk Till Dawn than Monarch, because you have the generic boat, you have the normal Brute, the normal Warrior, those types of cards that are meant to sort of extend play and allow, you know, some desirability for other people outside of those drafting and playing sealed with Monarch. So I think you could have a real fun time drafting Dusk Till Dawn. Now, this video is definitely going to be a lengthy one, right, because we still have this to go through. And I suppose it's more of a talking point. At this point, we might as well just open everything to finish it off. So, in terms of sealed, okay, we have, again, 4 Monarch to 3 Dusk Till Dawn, right? So, out of a box, you get 8 players worth of Dusk Till Dawn, and you get 6 players worth of Monarch. So that's still fairly decent. Again, you both put in, everyone puts in, it's what, around 80 bucks US for a box. I don't know how Unlimited is doing. So 160 bucks. Okay, we are supporting play for 6 people rather than 4. Okay, so yes, you're paying a little bit extra, but not a huge amount, and your draft experience is going to be different, right? Because you have your core deck from here. You can play Old Prism, you can enjoy Old Prism with new Prism cards. Obviously, you can't run the Figments, but the Figments aren't huge, right? You're not going to find a whole bunch of them that you want to run, but you can make use, excuse me, but you can make use of those newer cards, right? What do we have? Angelic Descent. I hope this is new. I feel like this is in Monarch, but I don't know, right? So target action card or Heralds. There are a lot of cards that play off of Heralds better, that drafting Old Prism or playing sealed with Old Prism could feel pretty nice with, right? So I think there is merit to it. I mean, okay, let's break down the cost properly, because I sort of just went over it. Okay, so 160 divided by 6. So it's what, $25 a person, right? For this weekend event. So, you know, it's equivalent to the movies, which is always my go-to when it comes to these types of hobbies, or playing these types of hobbies, or going to events, is to always compare it to, you know, going out to dinner, going out to bowl, going out to the movies, something like that, right? Because it's equivalent in time. You can potentially get a lot more time out of these types of games, right? Because they can drag on if you're really enjoying it. And altogether, is that worth the investment or the ticket to play? I think it would be. I think, again, it would have also done wonders for Monarch, because right now what we're seeing is Dusk Till Dawn is self-inclusive. You don't need Monarch as much as what people were speculating. So Monarch is falling flat again. And I think having them work together would have been fantastic, right? You could have tackled the expansive volume of Monarch through Dusk Till Dawn, and you could have incentivized people to, again, play with both, buy both, enjoy both, right? You could have had stores do deals, right? 2 boxes, 1 Monarch, 1 Dusk Till Dawn, right? You get everything you need to, again, play draft, play sealed in this combination format, or, you know, you can just enjoy the 2 sets that were meant to work in tandem, that were meant to have overlapping themes and ideas, but instead just cannibalize one another, right? Because again, if Living Legend comes back, everyone will go back to old Monarch because they want old Prism, they want old Luminaris, and what is the interest for the Figments, for the high-end Illusionist cards of Dusk Till Dawn? Because they're all catering for the new Prism, which, in a lot of people's opinion, is severely weaker than old Prism, mainly because of Luminaris, but still weaker. So I think, yeah, look at that. Plenty of cards to work with. Can definitely make a sealed deck of any hero, and you have all these extra cards, again, with the dichotomy, that actually plays against Light and Shadow, to have a different experience than just drafting Monarch. So I think it is something worth considering. And then again, drafting, right, cut down 1 Monarch pack, so just have 2. So now your draft pod is 12 people, and guess what? You have 2 from Dusk Till Dawn, so it's still 2, right? Again, we've upped it from 8 to 12 to just buy 1 extra box. Again, slightly more expensive, but a different experience. An enjoyable experience where, again, you can play with the dichotomy. I'm not going to worry about opening the rest of the packs because we already found the cold foil, right? And yeah, it's Monarch Unlimited, so I doubt we'll get anything good. If there is, I'll probably include it at the end. But yeah, Dusk Till Dawn is draftable, right? Don't worry about what it says on the box. Don't worry about Let Destroy Studios or what they're saying. It is draftable. You just got to get creative and you just got to think about the numbers. Again, you want to mix and match, right? Draft 2 and 2. You want to just draft Dusk Till Dawn, play with 4. Play with 4 to 5. You want to play sealed with Dusk Till Dawn, you know, play with 12. I don't have 12 packs left, but you get the idea. This is what, 6, right? 12. You know, you could do team events, right? 2v2. One person is playing the sealed light and one playing is the sealed shadow. You can definitely get enough cards for 2 sealed decks, 1 of each thing. Or you'd play roulette or something like that, where, you know, the other person has to knock out one of your decks and then you swap into the other deck. Oh my god. That's a thought for a format, right? You bring like 3 Blitz heroes. Every time one is knocked out, you swap into the next. Right? Get Pokemon in it. I mean, Pokemon doesn't do that. Obviously, you've got the 6 things. But I mean, like Pokemon games. Oh, that is a future talk. Anyway, draft it, please. Play sealed with it, please. Enjoy it as what it seems like it was intended before they cut it. Right? I know you're gonna have to pay a little bit extra. Boxes are coming down. You will be able to play it cheaply, and again, you'll be able to have this fantastic experience. Right? You'll be able to enjoy the set as intended. You'll be able to enjoy all the bottom end cards that, you know, feel horrible to me because I am someone who is just opening a lot better. Try it. I'll put up the numbers at the end here, right? And I'll probably do the cost as well. If you're interested in trying it, if you do try it, let me know. Let me know how it goes. I'm really curious because I do personally believe that Dusk Till Dawn is draftable. I mean, this experiment sort of proves it, right? Yeah, I've fudged the numbers a little. Yeah, again, it's going to cost you a bit more, but you still get a lot of play out of it. There is potential here, and it needs to be capitalized on. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.